I've taken some notes that might be interesting for you to hear for today. I'll try to briefly mention some of the points that very important to me for the past couple of years. I might touch on a few different and also unrelated topics, which I hope with photos and videos being shown during my talk will help to keep it from becoming boring for you guys. So what you watched today is actually the second part of a trilogy which I completed this year with the final film, Landstone. So here are the posters of the films of this trilogy, and you watched Luckless Lake. But before we dive into discussing the film Luckless Lake, I'd like to invite you to join me in reflecting on the first part of this trilogy, The Last Breath. And since I'm very tired and exhausted, I cannot recall everything, so I have to read from the context. Since both films revolve around Iran's largest lakes, which have faced similar fates, I prefer to talk about the first film, as it brought me the most valuable experiences and greatly influenced the making of the second film, which you watched today, and also the one that led me into cinema. The Last Breath was the result of 11 years of research and travel, and it marked the beginning of my focus on the water crisis and its impacts on people's lives. The Last Breath explores Iran's largest lake. Well, the lake you watched today from Luckless Lake is the second largest lake in Iran. So Last Breath explores Iran's largest lake, Urmia, which over the past few decades has experienced severe drought and now has completely disappeared and vanished. Once one of the largest saltwater lakes in the whole world, it approximately spanned over 5,200, I think, square kilometers. And this vast ecosystem, consisting of hundreds of islands, villages, and numerous rivers, faced unpredictable disasters as a result of the drought. And that film, The Last Breath, was my first experience as a cinematographer, director, and researcher. So these three satellite images illustrate the scale. These three satellite images illustrate the scale of a disaster that has unfolded in just 26 years. That image is from 1982, and the second one is from 2011, and this one is from this year. And you can see clearly how tragically Urmia Lake has shrunk in less than 3 decades. So just like the satellite images you see at the beginning of the film, Luckless Lake. So my first project film, The Last Breath, taught me not only how to travel alone, since no one will accompany you for 11 years unless they share the same passion, but also how to conduct research across vast landscapes. It taught me how to connect with people and gain their trust, and after hours of conversation, uncover insights that carry more practical or experiential value than any academic paper. And most importantly, it showed me that the reality you aim to understand and document can be just as unpredictable. The Last Breath was an opportunity for me to learn how to use documentary cinema as a tool and also as a language for depicting human situations in an ongoing reality. And I use two terms human situations and ongoing reality because I want to avoid the concept of conventional storytelling. Because I believe that documentary cinema is entirely about depicting the realities of people's lives with minimal interference. And when we talk about conventional storytelling, it feels like we impose a preferred structure on reality, whereas reality is fluid and can change unexpectedly at any moment. Since I devoted years assisting my father making his documentary, because my father is also a documentary filmmaker, I became quite familiar with sound and video equipment. And I also learned from him that in the world of documentary filmmaking, where real lives and real people are involved, the fewer people behind the camera, the more intimate the atmosphere will be. So that's why I chose to make films independently and completely on my own, without any assistance. However, for The Last Breath, my first project, due to the region's linguistic diversity, I needed a friend to assist me with translations. This is Hadi, a very old friend of mine. So he accompanied me actually in the making of two parts of this trilogy, the first and the second one. And we risked our lives for so many times to shot those images. During my university years, I lived in a city called Tabriz in the northwest of Iran, which is close to the Lake Urmia. And this proximity gave me the chance to visit the lake for several times. And with each visit, I can clearly remember that I had to walk a greater distance to reach the water. And those were the years that the Lake Urmia was visibly responding and reacting to changes in water levels and the climate. So as water level dropped and receded, all the salty sediments and rocks that had been underwater for years began to appear. So this change kind of inspired me to start photographing the lake. I mean, all the things that had been hidden beneath the lake's waters for thousands of years had now come to the surface, revealing a whole new world. So for nearly, I think, 10 years, I returned to the lake, often making long or short trips to document the changes, resulting in over 3,000 to 4,000 photographs. So the process of photography, especially during research, is very important to me, since I started photography at a very young age, probably when I was 6, and my father gave me my first ever camera, his Nikon FM2, an analog camera. Landscape photography has become an inseparable part of my life, and in fact, through photography, I can gain a comprehensive understanding of the locations for my films and get a good idea of the lightings and the best times to shoot. And actually, photography is a very good practice for me, as being patient and to observe things. And I should also add that in the final years of my research, I began aerial photography, and using drone was a great help in allowing me to better visualize the environmental changes that I had observed from the ground for years. As my father used to tell me, to truly understand geography, you need to see the land from above. So that's what I did. Now I want to show you a selection of aerial footages